make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Make Your Day Richer. I'm on Facebook right now, making sure that we are public because it automatically goes to not public. And so there, now the public can watch the show live with you today. Thanks for joining us. We have a great show today that, of course, is perfect timing with Michael Stockham because we're talking about storytelling and talking in front of audiences and how to portray your message. And I get to go do that all weekend at the Wolf Media Festival. We leave tomorrow. I'm very excited to head to Florida to the Wolf Media Festival to do all kinds of stuff. I co-host their podcast, and if you are a creator of any sort, if you're making podcasts, if you're making books, if you're making music, if you're making video games, board games, anything media related, check out the Wolf Media Fest at wolfmediafest.com. It's a monthly award system. They have a ton of categories, and this weekend is their annual awards and screenings of films, book readings, author signings. It's going to be really fun. So we leave tomorrow. So I am 100% in vacation mode right now. I'm not packed yet, but I am ready. So if you're in the Melbourne, Florida area, check out the Wolf Media Fest in person. Come meet us. And if you're not, just go on the website and check and submit your work because why not? And then if you win, you get to go on the Wolf Media Fest podcast and I get to interview you there. Okay, so what else do I have to tell you? Lots to tell you. First of all, I want to say hi to my friends at the Waxhaw Business Association that I met this morning. Thanks for the coffee. And we're at episode 216 here. I'll Make Your Day Richer. And I think we should check how many views we've had in 215 episodes. Drum roll, please. Yeah, 337,705. Thank you to all 337,705 of you. We like exact numbers around here for watching the show, for supporting the show. The guests that come on who share it, amazing. If you'd like to support the show so we can continue to do this, go to buymeacoffee.com/makeyourdayricher and throw over a little donation, would you? Some people think it's actual coffee that they're buying, but you're not. It's I'll probably buy coffee with it, but it's a donation platform. Okay. And what else do I have to tell you? Outside of this show, I help other podcasts, live streams, video people make their stuff great. And the Gorilla HR podcast has a new episode out this week. It's a human resources podcast hosted by my friend Becky. Wherever you get podcasts, that's where it's available. It's even on YouTube, even though it's audio only. But take a look at this clip that's out now.
Everything is different. They have so much access to information that the problem is not the information. The problem is how you make the information practical.
I always say that there's a ton of information, but not knowledge. So it's like you can find bits and pieces, but do you know how to put it all together and make it make sense?
That's it. And I have nieces and young people in my life that are family members that are now in high school and graduating and going to college and all these things. And I have these conversations with them. One of my nieces, one of her papers, honors classes, was focused on why don't adults just work with us in helping us really learn how to use and find information using our gadgets and our tools that's tech-based. We no longer have to memorize things because we can easily access them in seconds in terms of information. Her plea is that our roles need to be more so helping them understand and get better at not only finding the right information, but how to now apply and make practical that information.
It's a great, great podcast. You can go to gorilla-hr.com to learn more about Becky, about the podcast and everything she's doing over there. And if you're an employer or an employee, you should be listening to the podcast. I've learned so much, and I'm not really either of those things, but you should watch it. Okay. Let's see. That's all I have to tell you. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back with Michael Stockham right after this. So don't go anywhere, would you? Life is difficult. Are you feeling overwhelmed or like you could use a little support for your mental well-being? Visit the Help Hub. It's the most comprehensive and inclusive free online destination for mental health resources, helpful tools, crisis hotlines, and supportive content. Just go to thehelphub.co to find the resources you need when you need them most. Unlike other resource pages, the Help Hub is divided into 16 different categories, ensuring that everyone in every community has access to the resources and support that matches their unique needs. Find the help you're looking for at thehelphub.co. Well, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking around. Today we have a guest who knows how to captivate an audience, whether he's in a high-stakes courtroom or crafting a page-turning thriller. Michael Stockham is a seasoned litigation attorney with years of experience in complex cases and a best-selling author of legal thrillers that bring courtroom drama to life. Michael's here to share some powerful communication tools that separate amateurs from professionals in any situation. So please welcome back to the show, Michael Stockham. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I am fantastic as well. What a blessing to join you again. I appreciate the invite back.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and I love that you wanted to come back. That makes me feel good. So I'm glad you're here.
Percent. Always a joy.
Yes. Well, I want to before we jump into why you're here, I do want to check out Michael's last interview on the show. But let's mention your books quickly before we go into the other reason why you're here, so everybody knows about those.
Yeah, absolutely. So very proud of both of them. The Confessions of an Accidental Lawyer was my debut novel, inspired by true events about a civil rights case I did for a prisoner in solitary confinement in Wichita Falls, Texas. And then I decided to take on a larger project with sort of a series. Jake Fox is the lead protagonist, and I currently have that slated for 9 books, broken up into essentially 3 different trilogies. So 3 different large story arcs, if you will.
And which number are you working on currently?
I am working on number 2 in the series. We'll have that out in December. We'll probably have it to beta readers before June, where we're very excited. We're going to go to the Banff World Media Festival in Banff, Canada, to see if we can't get somebody interested in turning these stories into something in a different media, something
nice.
a series on TV or movies or something like that. Very excited about them. I'm biased because I wrote them, but I think they're great stories, and I think they can translate well to people.
Well, I also like it because that means many more appearances on this show. So I'm not mad about
Absolutely. Always
Okay.
come back.
Good. I always love on this show because everything seems timely to me and in my life and what's going on. This weekend, like I said, I was heading out to speak in front of a ton of people, and I wanted you to come on and talk about storytelling, whether you're in a courtroom or on a stage somewhere, and how important it is, and to give us some tips about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think stories, one of the foundations of how people communicate. If you think about how we learned history, how it was put forward sort of before the printing press, it was all oral tradition. It was all about story, and story contributed both to the understanding as well as the communication of the themes. To give you an example, the Iliad has about somewhere around 200,000 words, takes 15 hours to recite, but people remember it. It was a great teaching tool. It taught a lot of things. And the power of memory, the power of communication all came from that being an epic and having stories. So whether it's the Iliad or a small conversation networking at a bar, as part of your business, story is really important because it's how people connect and how they learn.
Did you know that at a certain point in my life, I don't know why you would know this, but I had a job title that was director of storytelling.
There you go. See,
Yeah.
it is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Storytelling officer. That's what I want when I finally grow up.
Yes. Yeah. I stole it from someone else. I interviewed someone who was a director of storytelling, and I was like, I love that title. That's amazing. And so I stole it. Can you tell everybody kind of what your definition of storytelling is?
Yeah, so storytelling is communication no matter what we do. And it runs the gambit. So if I call my daughter, who's currently a nursing student at Clemson, and ask her to tell me about her day, uh, pretty quickly the conversation devolves into storytelling. She tells me incidents of what's going on. My older daughter, who's in marketing for Ketchum, she's currently in New York City, working on the Genesis account and Motor Week, or one of the big shows up there. You know, her whole life is marketing, is storytelling. So it really is, when you want to communicate an idea, when you want people to understand, believe in your idea, then really story is a great way to do it, because it becomes memorable, and being memorable is very important in life and business.
Do you think storytelling has become easier or more difficult since there's such a social media boom with all of the online thing, like one of the things when Zoom first started, when the pandemic started, was like voice projection, and how the camera can take away kind of some layers of your energy. So do you think that it has changed at all with the increase in online storytelling?
Yeah, so two questions there. What's the impact of the world becoming less connected, meaning we're all living through screens, through Zooms, Teams, and other things? And the other one is social media. What's the impact on the average human being? So I do think that people have gotten markedly better at communicating through screens and cameras on Zoom. I, I would bet a huge percentage of folks, even business folks, have a small light for their camera so they look good on it. They understand how to do backgrounds. They understand how to project a lot better. So I think we've adapted quickly, and we're getting better and better at communicating through sort of a camera lens. On the social media front, I sort of look at that as two branches of a tree divided. One of them is that it decreases folks' attention span. Things get shorter and shorter because people are absorbing small bits of information. And when they do and they like it, they get that dopamine hit and then they move on to the next. So they're satisfied in small increments. The other is, and I've talked to one of my great friends, Aurora Winter, about this, and I think you may have interviewed her as well. Aurora and I were talking about this last Friday, and she had discussed the idea of its filtering, that human beings are getting faster and faster at filtering between what's important to them personally, what's interesting to them personally, and what's not. So when you look at TikTok, the average view on a TikTok is somewhere between 3 to 6 seconds before you get engagement. So you're looking at people processing information more quickly. They're being more discerning more quickly. And that means that you have to grab their attention. And there's nothing better to grab attention than telling a story.
When I was thinking about what to talk about today, and the questions I had to ask you, when there's so many layers into storytelling, I don't know why, but one of the things that popped in my head was clothing. And if clothing portrays, whether you're at a networking event, whether you're on a stage in a courtroom, what does your clothing choice have, if anything, do you think, in your storytelling?
Well, in live events or speeches or CLEs, of course, a lot of that's designated toward the audience. So, for example, I was on stage 2 weeks ago with a former congressman, talking about the new tariff policies and those things that are going on in the United States. And we were talking to a number of folks who are typically boards of directors. That was the audience. So in that particular setting, you wanted to come across as professional, as knowledgeable, but it was also sort of a nighttime event with hors d'oeuvres and cocktails. So maybe not the three-piece suit, maybe not the tie, but certainly a blazer and slacks, portraying a certain level of competence, professionalism, and gravitas. Now, if you look at others, if you were, say, a comedian on stage, your audience is totally different, and so you want to mirror or connect with them through sort of your outward presentation. So I do think from that aspect, if you're going to present, if you're going to tell stories, if you're going to be in front of an audience, you ought to think a little bit about the audience and their expectations of you as a presenter, and then try to mirror those expectations in the way you dress.
Yeah, and I think also like a little bit of your own personality. So people, especially if you're maybe at a networking event, so people know kind of the type of person that they're going to get involved with if they're going to work with you as well, you know?
Absolutely, certain details. So, for example, one of my favorite things, I prefer not to wear a tie, but I always have a pocket square, and the pocket square I try to either make it flashy or connected to the event, color wise or others. Just a little bit of personality, a little bit of flash that's a little bit different than some of the other folks in the room.
I know you have 3 powerful tools that I would love for you to share with everybody about storytelling.
Okay.
Can we start with the well-told story? The power of that.
Sure, absolutely. So a well-told story is a precise story. So even if you're at a networking event, or say it's a small speech or a keynote or whatever, you want to hone it down as best you can, even in real time, to the fewest number of words necessary to present the story. And that's just because human beings' attention span is such that they will divert or jump off of your story at any given point that they get bored. So extra words are just potential off ramps to what you're trying to do. So be brief, be precise, try to do it in the fewest amount of words possible.
I think that should be somewhere for podcast guests. I think that you should start coaching, because that's one of the things that I do outside of this as well. Is that exact thing? You know, when you're going on a show, when you have 15 minutes, or if you have 60 minutes as a guest, you really have to kind of figure out where your story's going to be. That's so smart. So, people coming on podcasts, listen.
Brevity is always wisdom. If you can
Yeah.
say it in a shorter period of time, do it.
Okay. What about reading a room?
So reading the room is really important, whether it's down to, say, that board of directors audience I was talking to, or say being in front of a jury of 12 individuals that are you're trying to get them to learn your client's story and empathize with it. And so you got to watch them. I mean, you have to watch where their eyes are, what their desire is, where they are. I mean, there's nothing worse for a presenter, and it's not the audience's fault, it's the presenter's fault, but to start speaking and see people pick up their phone within the first 30 or 45 seconds. That it means that you've lost the thread, your story's not compelling, something needs to change.
How do you, when you realize that, or you see that, is that something to that you should work on so it doesn't happen? But in the moment, if it's happening, how do you like pivot?
So there's 3 things you can do pretty quickly. Say in trial law, you can move. You can make yourself interesting, because a courtroom is pretty static. So if you engage in movement, then you can draw people's attention back to you. You can modulate your voice, and it doesn't always mean getting louder. You might get closer and more quiet to the jury so that they have to lean into you to understand, to hear, but that's a way to bring the audience back into the attention. And the other one is just simply to think about making the story more compelling. Am I rambling? Am I saying too much? Start to think about what is necessary, what's not, and cull out the wheat from the chaff, so to speak.
That's so smart. Also, when we were talking off topic before we started, Michael was saying that his lawn care people might show up. And I said, "Oh, don't worry about it." And now mine are here. So we'll see. So we'll see what happens. But we're almost done. So I think we'll be able to get through it before it gets too loud. Your last tool would be framing your message.
Absolutely. So, one of the key components of story, whether it's an elevator pitch for your services when you run across somebody, a jury argument, or a novel, is to frame exactly what the story is going to be. And some of that comes from signposting, meaning giving some people a clue of where you're headed so that they're comfortable with an overall framework, but also making sure that you understand where you want to go so that your story, your pitch, your communication stays within those boundaries and you're staying in the most fertile words you can. Those things that are going to help you the most, either communicating a story or pitching a client.
If someone's like just beginning or getting ready to speak, maybe it's in front of an audience that they're not quite sure some of that stuff, like who the audience is, or like what are some tips maybe when you're just beginning out on this like speaking storytelling journey?
So, a couple of tips. One is prepare, prepare, prepare.
Mm.
There's very little that isn't prepared for a successful speaker. And one of my favorite things to do is watch stand up comedians because if you watch an hour stand up for any of the great comedians, it looks spontaneous for 60
Yeah.
minutes. But there is nothing spontaneous about what's going on stage. It's all prepared, even down to when they wreck it, meaning that they put in the pauses and the ums and the umps. They've tested all that. So prepare. And the second thing is train. So if you want to join a club like Toastmasters in your area and start getting ready speaking spontaneously or putting together small speeches with people giving you real-time feedback, there's nothing better than Toastmasters or other speaking clubs to help you hone the way to give a message.
Do you also help people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Always willing to visit with people, always willing to give feedback. In fact, I'll be just for my own firm, I'll be in Chicago for a week later this month at our firm's annual John Hogan Trial Academy as one of the instructors. And I can tell you one of the key components of what I'll be telling each and one of our new lawyers is story, story, story.
Yeah, 100%. Also, I love Chicago. I lived in Milwaukee for a long time, so you'll have tons of fun. It's a good time of year to be in Chicago.
I believe I need to go to Grimaldi's. Isn't that the big pizza joint?
Yeah, yes. And you're lucky you're not going there in like December. So
Yes, that is a blessing.
I love that. What is the best way that people can connect with you and reach out to you?
So a couple of three ways. If they want to connect with me professionally, they can get a hold of me at my firm address. I work for Holland and Knight, a large domestic firm. That's michael.stockham at hklaw.com. If they want to connect with me personally on the story and the novel side, they can do michael.stockham, michael at michaelstockham.com. And they can also find me on LinkedIn, or if they want to look at the books, that's at jakefoxthrillers.com.
Okay, good. Or just message me and say, hey, I need to talk to Michael, and then I'll forward you all of his stuff as well. What are you loving most about your life right now?
The opportunities. This has been a great journey, journeying into novel writing, working with folks like Aurora, being able to meet and interact with folks like you, spreading both the joy of writing the books, but also sort of the concept of story and precision and things that I've believed in deeply for decades. So it's really been exciting. And that's one of the best things about it.
I love that answer. That's a great answer. I can't thank you enough for coming back, for teaching me today. I feel like I now need to go and prepare a little bit more for this weekend. So that's what I learned today, and I thank you for that.
Absolutely. It's a blessing to be on. I always love to come back and look forward to seeing you again in the future. And good luck this weekend. Sounds like
Thank
a
you.
great time.
I'll let you know how it goes and submit your books to the festival. Go.
Absolutely.
All right. Michael Stockham, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Good to see you and thank you for having me back.
Of course. That's our show, everyone. Thanks for watching. Go make your day richer. Go Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching the show, and I love you for it. Now's a good time to just share the show. If you're watching it, we're done here. So just share it and be like, oh my God, amazing. Listen to this show. We'll be back tomorrow, all new episode with Kevin King, who's a rapper who's going to have some music for you. So we'll start the day off with some music and Kevin King. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.